MK Ultra, hypnosis, subliminal programming, mental programming, mind control. Do you think mind control is real? Like, can you or I or anybody else be mentally infiltrated and controlled by some kind of outside force or agency? You think that's true? Well, I certainly think it's true. And speaking of mind control, um, here's a side thought. I and you'll see how this side thought relates to the original topic. Do you believe that there are different dimensions? For instance, like we call this world we live in uh, our 3D reality. You know, it has height, width, and depth. It's three dimensional. Um, and then you have other dimensional dimensions. For instance, the dimension of the mind. I guess that would be considered like the fourth dimension. But anyway, if you look at those two dimensions alone, we live in different dimensions. And I'm pretty sure, well, I believe that there are a lot more dimensions than those two dimensions that I just named, the dimension of mind and physicality. But the way I see it, within each dimension, there are various layers, levels, or what have you, that we call vibrational frequencies. And these frequencies are dimensions in and of themselves, separate dimensions. And the best way to explain it is the radio. We all know about the radio. You got the FM and the AM stations. If you listen to FM radio, then you have the different um, radio stations, and they all work or they operate on their own wavelength or frequency. And if you look at the dial on your radio, the FM, you have a whole vast array of all these different channels. Not to mention the AM, but the FM. And you got all these frequencies. And you're vibrating mentally on a certain frequency. Like if you're listening to a station 90.3 or something like that, you're on that frequency because you have the dial on that particular channel. Turn the dial to 91 or what have you, and you've just changed the frequency. 90.1 is still there, but you can't detect it, but it's still there because all you have to do is turn the dial back and there you have it. Now the other station's gone. But all these different frequencies are in the air simultaneously. And they got their sound, their music, and what have you, the commercials. It's all going on simultaneously. And technically, We actually exist at all these levels and then some. And even though, kind of like a dog whistle, only a dog can hear it, like you can turn the dial from one station to another, and you can hear one station, but all the other, 100 stations you can't hear, but they're broadcasting. They're still bombarding your system. Now, I say that to say this. The other day, a friend and I went to the Apple store, and they had this big old screen on the wall. And on the wall, there was this visual effect thing going on, kind of like a, what do you call it? Um, an optical illusion. The different colors were swirling around. It was pretty designs. And I looked at it and I said, that looks like a huge version. Like if you listen to, you go online and pull up a subliminal program uh, link, it looks like the design on the screen when, for subliminal program or those self hypnosis videos. And I'm like, look, subliminal programming. And my friend made the remark, oh, well, that's illegal. I mean, is it? I guess it would be illegal at the surface level, but check this out. While you're listening to 90.1, the other radio stations, they're still operating and they're still bombarding your system with their commercials or what have you. So that's subliminal, but it's not illegal. It's happening. And I'm going to take it up a notch because I actually heard this from an interesting source that I consider a valuable source. There are other stations out there that we don't know about, and I guess they're operated by the government, from what I was told, in conjunction with certain organizations and whatnot and corporations. And they're like radio stations, and they're bombarding the ethers with all their different types of material for the purpose of subliminal programming. But here's the thing, we don't know about those stations. They're not broadcast on the regular radio. And the messages that they supposedly broadcast are not friendly or family oriented. And it's not music either, not necessarily music. They are supposedly subliminal programs that are designed to keep your mind in a place of confusion, to keep you in a state of mental anguish, frustration. And if you think about it, that could very well be true because, I mean, just look at the world around you all day, every day. I mean, these people are bickering and squabbling and arguing over something. And, it's a lot of it is so petty. Most of it is petty. And if you're kept in that state of mind where you focus on the petty, you won't care to understand at greater levels what could be happening to you. Oh yeah, they realize that part of that pettiness, politicians and whatnot, they realize that part of the pettiness is, to attack them with your gripes, verbal assaults, or whatever. But at the end of the day, they know that you can't do anything about it. They know that you're subliminally programmed to stay petty. And they do what they do. In their brains, they think that they're, I guess, orchestrating some grand takeover of the world, but it's easy to see that what they're doing instead is ruining the world. These guys don't even know. When you think about the whole thing about the blind leading the blind, politicians don't know that they're blind. They think that they have clear sight. Likewise, the people that are petty don't know that the politicians are blind. We might call them stupid, or we might call them dumb or crazy or what have you, but if we really believe that, why do we continue to depend on these guys to save the world, to reform the world? I dare say to renew the world. You want to know why? It's because of the programming. What's interesting about subliminal programming, it has to come from a source at our level of existence. And when I say that, I mean it our level of mental existence. Because an idea that's installed in a subliminal program has to have something to latch on to. It has to be able to latch onto your mind and get ingrained into your mind before it can take effect. Therefore, in order to not be adversely affected by all these subliminals coming from all these various frequencies, whether it be FM, AM, or even if this whole thing about the government doing their thing with these ghost radio stations that we don't know about, phantom radio stations, you got to get above and beyond that level. Spiritual vibration. It's about rising above those levels. When you rise above those levels, when you vibrate higher, the subliminals can't touch you. I mean, the higher you vibrate, the closer you are to God. And so, do you think God can be subliminally programmed? I don't think so. So, learning to vibrate higher is the key to getting out of the matrix. It's the key to peace of mind, mind renewal, escaping the phenomena of mind control so you can be in control of your own mind. And that's what it's all about. That's how you live victoriously. Mind control, but you're in control of your mind, not some outside agency or some sinister outside force that's meant to keep you at a low level, at a petty level. Kind of like it said in the Bible when God told the serpent, "On your belly you shall go, and you will eat dust for the rest of your days." That's what most people are doing, metaphorically speaking. But we got to get away from that. We got to rise above that. Raise your vibration. And if you want to know a good place to start, you can start with this. The Power of Spiritology by Dario Thomas. It can show you how to raise your vibration. It'll show you why you're vibrating low. And there are more reasons than you suspect of why you vibrate low. Some of the symptoms of vibrating low are, just vague senses, like a vague sense of anxiety. You wake up in the morning and, you get those little hints of despair. Unsettled mind. Your mind is always running, 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 running. You hear about people saying, "Oh, I got this song stuck in my head, blah, blah, blah." That's because they got bombarded. I can't get rid of this annoying song in my head. And walking around grumpy all day, grouchy, got your attitude on your back, like the Titan Atlas had the world on his shoulders. Being nervous around people, you know, certain people, like at your job, for instance, that rub you the wrong way or they make you nervous. People being intimidated by other people. Those are all symptoms of vibrating low. I mean, even just plain old lethargy, being tired and sluggish, insomnia, can't get to sleep, gotta take pills to go to sleep, feeling antsy, gotta drink wine or alcohol to settle myself, gotta smoke cigarettes to calm my nerves. I mean, there's so many things that are indicative of vibrating low. I'm going to tell you what low vibration really is. Low vibration is when your spirit essence is submerged into your mind. Believe it or not, your mind and spirit are two different things. And your spirit is supposed to be above the mind. When a spirit is above the mind, it can implant the appropriate thoughts into the mind, and the mind goes on to manifest whatever the spirit has thought into it. The mind goes on to manifest that into reality. You're supposed to be, now here's something that's going to really trip you out. You're supposed to be out of your mind. When somebody must says to you, "You must be out your mind," you take that as an insult because we translate that as being crazy, but actually, it would be very good if you were out of your mind and into the realm of spirit where you belong. And then you're in control of your mind. And when you're in control of your mind, you cannot be touched by sinister forces that are bent on controlling your mind and turning you into some kind of puppet or mindless animal that wanders around the earth while a select few of people try to take control of it and enslave you. Again, learn to rise above the level of your mind and into the realm of spirit. And the Power of Spiritology on sale at Amazon.com by Dario Thomas can show you exactly how to do that. And thank you for listening. Take care. God bless.